think you're doing? You call this a room? This is a pigsty. I want you to straighten up this area now. You are a disgusting slob. Are you listening to
me? Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Big Irish J grinding on eBay. Okay, so we have some topics today that are, I'm not going to say exciting, but, for me, I keep hearing all this riffraff going on in the eBay community about, I'm sorry, somebody keeps messaging me, it's driving me completely nuts. I keep hearing all this riffraff in the eBay community about the, eBay sending out messages and lowering their view rates because, they had gotten maybe 10 returns out of 100 in a month. And if anybody knows business, you cannot make everybody happy. Okay, that's number one. Doesn't make a difference who you are. You cannot make everybody happy. So, I will say to eBay that you need to look into your statistics or however you're evaluating your people, and a 1.9 percent return rate at a volume of somebody like Rockstar Flipper is not a high return rate. It is not. Now, you could do all the statistics on every store and every company that we have in this world, and, I'm sure that they have probably more than a 25% return rate, because you just can't make everybody happy. It's impossible. And I was just talking about this my last episode or the episode before. People, is eBay for or against the seller? I had an item return, right? A gentleman said that he did not receive the item. So he put in a claim against me, yet he took a picture of the item and sent it to me. Needless to say, I won the case, and the whole thing is that you have to, eBay goes into your PayPal account, they take all your money away, because this, person decides to, not have such a good day and, has their panties in a bunch, or they just have, they made a purchase and now they're regretting it, or they found it cheaper someplace else, so they figure they're, listen, you cannot run a business like this. Exactly what Rockstar Flipper said, we are doing what you are asking us to do. Every single time I have a problem with a customer, right, I take a look and I balance out, what is going to benefit me more in the end economically. So, sometimes I have to give people returns and let them keep the shit. You know what I mean? Because it's not economic for me to put out more money to bring this product back to try to sell it again. I mean, I had a guy that bought a controller, and basically he sends a picture of it. Now I got like 11 pictures of this controller on eBay, and he sends a picture to eBay of a controller with cat hair all over it, and it's broken all down the side, and you can clearly see my pictures. You can clearly see the picture he sent. And you can tell that it was not the item that I sent the guy. So basically, I had to give this guy his return and say, just keep it. Because I don't want the broken thing. I don't want his old controller. What am I going to do with it? So this is the kind of crap that we have to deal with, fortunately in e-commerce. I'm starting to really think, is it worth selling on eBay anymore, and let me tell you something. I have made, some money, I'm not going to say a substantial amount of money, but I have made some money over the 2.5 months that I've been selling on eBay, and I appreciate every dime of that. But there's just Sorry about that, everybody. I had to answer an important phone call. But yes, you cannot make everybody happy. It is impossible. And the way I feel is that, so I had, out of the 2.5 months that I've been selling and over the 100 and some items that I've sold on eBay, I've had 3 issues. 3. All right, and out of the 3 issues, 2 of them were taken care of without there being any problem. I let the customer keep the item, and I also gave them a refund because it just wasn't worth it for me. We're talking about like a DVD or something that's just not worth for me to pay to bring back and then resell again. I mean, it's at some point you start losing money on things. It's just easier just to let it go and make that customer happy, get the positive feedback, but. There is just some people out there that will never, ever, ever, ever be happy. Now, I see some people that do things with clothing. I sell a little bit of clothing, not a lot, but I see people that sell clothing and they literally have to take out a tape measure so they can show the inseams and the this and the that, the other thing. Listen, you get people who buy clothing, and unfortunately, all clothing are not made the same. This is why, when you go into a store, most people try on clothes. Can you try on clothes at eBay? No, you cannot try on clothes on eBay. So, if you have an item that you want to buy, you contact the seller and you get all the information that you can possibly get before you purchase the sale. And I'm sure that seller will indulge you into telling you, the measurements and, are they boot cut or they regular fit or, I'm sure they're not going to go out of their way, not to make you happy because, in business, we're in the business of making money. And the only way you can make money is to make people happy. And if you're not making people happy, you're not making any money. So all you have to do is just go through the proper channels and procedures, just like we do. We got to go through proper channels and procedures to do any kind of business with anybody who wants to kick and scream and fight and complain. This doesn't look like the same as the, on the listing. Listen, we all know that if I take a picture of something, I don't filter a lot of my stuff. I don't. I really don't. Only if it's the background, if I have too much lighting or something, but I don't try to fix up the piece. I try to make the piece look exactly what it looks like, okay? Now, is your camera going to, make the piece look exactly what it looks like? If you have a good camera, yes. If you're working with a phone, probably not, And this is just the ups and downs of unfortunately, what happens on buying on eBay. You're taking a chance. If you want to buy clothes, then it is what it is. Now I've followed people like Stephen Rakin from Rakin Profit, and as far as I know, he still sells clothes, but. I am under the impression that he sold a lot more clothes and then kind of scaled it down because you know what? It probably came to problems. That's what it probably came to. And, you're trying your hardest to be a good e-commerce seller. You're going out, you're spending extra money, you're going the extra mile for customers. If it's a customer that asks me, can you wrap it right? I will send it to them in a nice box, wrapped right, professionally. I keep, and I won't even send it to you with regular tape on it. I literally have, the tape that you stick it, I don't have the machine for it, but you stick it in water, and this tape makes it look like a box. It makes it look more professional. I have fragile stickers. I have things that make everything look correct and look right, and people still have problems because you want to know why? You can't make everybody happy, and eBay should know this. You can't make everybody happy, and I saw Rockstar Flipper, and he was talking about how everything was sent back. Doesn't fit. Doesn't fit is, I'm sorry, doesn't fit doesn't fall under the category of my problem. Doesn't fit falls under the category of your problem. Because if I am taking all the measurements that I can possibly take and put them up on eBay as you're supposed to do. Now, we all make mistakes, and we all, sometimes we're, posting so much stuff that we don't have time to do every single little thing. But, I'm not going to measure ass cheek to ass cheek because, on a pair of jeans, it might look nice in the front, but it might be baggy in the back. I mean, what can you do about it? You know what I mean? It's just the way the pants are made. But, should we be penalized for that? Absolutely not. I do not think that we should be penalized for that. And I think there should be some kind of balance here, if you see that you have a seller who is breaking their back, we're making you money, eBay. We're breaking our back. We're doing everything that we're supposed to do. You're taking 10%. We're paying 10%. And, to me, 10% is a high amount of money to take off of a transaction. That takes a lot off my bottom line. But I'm doing it the way you want me to do it. I have 60-day returns. If somebody wants their money right away, I'll go on PayPal. I'll return the money right away. I try not to get into problems with customers, but you will run into that one customer, and let me tell you, you are going to run into that one customer. If you are a new reseller out there and you haven't yet, you will run into that one person where you cannot bite your tongue. Because this person is so retarded and is so freaking stupid and idiotic that it just baffles you, and you have to argue back with them because they don't understand anything else. That's what they want. And sometimes I feed into it a little bit, and I should just take Uber 81's advice and just say put in a claim at eBay, and I don't want nothing to do with this conversation, and this way they can't come back and say that I was acting like an asshole and all this other stuff. But at some point it gets to you as a reseller because you're trying your hardest, and you still have these people. Listen, even at regular stores, they deal with assholes too. There's a lot of assholes in this world, and they're around, and they're going to be buying, and you're going to be returning, and they're going to be returning, and it's going to be a back and forth conflict. So you know what I say? I say, eBay, understand that there is a percentage of assholes in the world. And if Rockstar Flipper has 1.9% of assholes, no, I'm sorry, it's 1.9% of returns, but I've added that 1.9% of returns, we'll say a 0.1 are probably assholes. That's really not a bad ranking, as far as I'm considered. Obviously, he's passionate about what he does. You can see it in his face. I mean, he wouldn't be coming, out on eBay and being frustrated the way he is. And I can understand his frustration because I deal with it too. You just deal with people that are just like, oh my God, what else could I have done to make this transaction any better besides deliver to you on a silver platter, and spend the goddamn airfare to get it there personally for you. It's just like, oh my God, man, it just makes you so frustrated on the inside. But, I don't want this to discourage the new reseller because it is just a part of business. And how you handle these parts of business is going to determine how your business goes. Now, sometimes you just have to eat crow, okay? And every businessman in the world at some point, is eating crow. And even people who make billions of dollars, they eat crow too. And we all do that are sellers and resellers and retail sellers and whatever you sell. In the selling business, you just deal with it, So I suggest that you come up, with a kind of preset, standard for how you're going to communicate with an asshole. And I'm sorry I'm cursing so much, but I get passionate just the way other people do about it. But, you have to come up with a, basically like you have to come up with a baseline of like, okay, listen, I'm really sorry that, that you're upset right now, and I apologize that things didn't go the way that you wanted them to go. And I wish that things didn't turn out this way. But listen, call eBay. Put in for a refund, and I will give you a refund, and just send the item back, and that just be it. Because listen, we can sit here for months and try to fight and argue about who's right and who's wrong, but at the end of the day, remember, the slogan is the customer is always right. And as bullshit as that is coming out of my mouth, it is just the way the world works. The customer's always right. They have money, you're selling something, you want them to buy it, and sometimes you just are going to come across the people that make it complicated, and just don't let it get to you. Just kind of try to, sir and the ma'ams, I put them all in there. I'm sorry. Listen, I apologize. I will give you a full refund. The only thing I ask is that maybe we can come to terms where I give you the cost of what you paid for it, and you absorb the shipping cost, because if I have to absorb the shipping cost, then, it's really going to be detrimental to my, my bottom line. You have to let people know things like that sometimes. And, when you talk rational like that to people, it really kind of like, you know what, maybe he's right. Maybe, this is not just his fault. This is my fault too, because I should have did my research a little bit better. And okay, I'll absorb the shipping cost, and, he'll give me my refund, and, lesson learned. And in most cases, in my returns, the two that I had were just like that, just like that. And I went a little further, because I didn't want to have any negative feedbacks, and and negative feedback for me is not worth the item that I'm selling. So in most cases, I will just say, hey, listen, just keep the item, even if it doesn't work, keep it. As a token of my appreciation that that you had to deal with this, and I apologize, and I'll give you a refund, so you don't have to ship it back, and I don't have to pay for shipping. Sometimes the shipping is for you to pay to get something shipped back. That's what you paid for the item to begin with. So why are you going to take the loss? Why take the loss to get an item back and then try to sell it again? You're only going to have to up the price, whatever the shipping cost to come back to you, because in order for you to make the money on the item, you can't absorb the shipping cost and then not add it in to the new price of the item when you resell it. It doesn't work like that. I mean, we're not in the business of losing money. We're in the business of making money. So, I try to keep prices fair for people. I really do. I had 2 Walt Disney collector's plates, which 10,000 of each were made. Okay, and the ones that I had were the one of them was like number 70 of 10,000 made, and another one was like 114 of 10,000 made. So they were really low on being the first ones made. But the only problem is I picked them up at a thrift store that we have in my city of Philadelphia called Circle Thrift, and they didn't have the boxes. So when I looked these items up, it said that they were worth $95 a piece. Now, am I going to charge $95 a piece? No, that would be very stupid of me, because I don't have the boxes that these things originally come in, and that what makes the item worth as a whole is the box too. So I dropped the price all the way down to $40 or $45, because to be honest with you, I paid $5.50 a piece for these things. So it's all gravy for me. Why be greedy? This is what I'm in the business of. Getting a cheap item, and not a cheap item, because that's the wrong word to use, because we don't like to make it seem like our items are cheap. The items that I buy are inexpensive, okay, and then I sell them for a reasonable price, where somebody out there that might not have the money to be able to afford a Michael Kors bag could now afford a Michael Kors bag, because there's somebody out there that's willing to not be greedy and sell the Michael Kors bag for a fair price. I picked it up. The Michael Kors bag might have cost me $12.99. I'm selling it for 25, including shipping. I'm not making a bunch of money off of it, but you're making me happy with some money. I'm making you happy. You got the Michael Kors bag, and that's what I think this reselling eBay business is really supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about it's a win-win for everybody, and that's what it is. And for all those people out there that are online selling broken items and shit that doesn't work and clothes that are, completely bombed out and you're not writing it down in the description, shame on you, because you are the people who drag everybody else down. If you can't be a proper reseller, then get off the forum. We don't need you on here dragging everybody else down, period. There are some people in this world who are legitimately kind-hearted and will do anything, because listen, if I'm making money and you get a product for cheaper than it's going to cost at retail, even if it has a little mark on it, you might be okay with that mark, and I'm okay with selling it like that as long as you know about it, and I'm going to give it to you for you as a fair price, okay? And, I see a lot of people, they pick up things for $2, $3 and are, because it's worth $100, they want to try to get $100 for it. I think that that's unfair. And I think that that's not the way that you are supposed to be a business person. I'm sorry. I mean, everybody has different ethics, but, there's a point of being greedy and there's a point of, running a business that's fair to the customer and fair to the seller. And, maybe we wouldn't go through so many problems if, these customers wouldn't be getting so hype if they were paying fair prices. And when they get it, and if it didn't meet up to their standards, they can understand, well, you know what, I got a pretty good deal on this anyhow, so I'm just going to have to suck it up. No, but the person's going to bitch and complain because you overcharged them in the first place for the thing. You probably didn't offer them free shipping. I offer everybody free shipping now because, people, it's just easier for people. It is. I found, I'm still learning, trust me. People, Rockstar Flipper, Bonafide Hustler, Stephen Rakin, all you people out there who have taught me and made me a better reseller, when I speak the words that are coming out of my mouth, it has nothing to do with, sellers at your latitude. I mean, you guys are way above me in selling and probably will always be. I will strive my hardest to be the best that I can, but I can only work with what I have. So, I just suggest everybody just calm down and, I know a lot of people got these emails about their percentage ratings and everything like that. Maybe it's just a way of eBay to tell you to take a look at how you're doing things. And that's it. It doesn't have to be any deeper than that. And I don't really think of, listen, just put this in your mind. If eBay has a amazing seller that sells a lot of products and only has a 1.9% return rate, they're still making an enormous amount of money off you. So if you think that they're going to put your stuff viewing way down here, I don't think it would happen because they would be losing money and it's not practical business procedures. They're just letting you know to take a look at what you're doing and maybe try to, adjust some of the things that you do, add more, measurements into your items. And, if you have to throw the tape measure in there, like I see people doing it, do it. If that's what you have to do, do it. Because when I know when a lot of people do go on YouTube and they see items and they're hanging on mannequins and they look all nice and they look all pretty and it's my size, they get the impulse and they just buy it. They don't ask questions. They don't, they ask nothing. So then when they get it and they put it on and it doesn't fit, because, ladies and gentlemen, not all clothes, an extra large, can be like, one day I can fit in an extra large on one pair of pants, and on another day I'm in a 3X, and we all know that depends on how the company and how these people make their clothing. It's not all the same standard. So you have to. That's why I think the tape measure is important, because of the size on the tag says 42, but you're only coming up with a 40, then you need to list that. You need to say, listen, tag says 42, but when I measured it, the waist is only coming up as a 40. Just so you know. And I think that's fair. I think it lets the customer know that you're trying for their betterment and for their so they don't have a hard time. Sometimes you just have to work a little harder and go the extra mile. And this, like I said, this is not pointed towards anybody. This is advice to the newcomer, new reseller, and this is also stuff that I absorb. Because my outlet, I absorb all the stuff, and then when I start to, do things, I implement it in my business practices, and things get better. They do. So I'm going to leave it at that. And everybody just calm down, man. There's a lot of changes going on at eBay, and we all know that. We all knew that it's not like this is a surprise, like this was a pop-up thing. eBay is restructuring themselves, and unfortunately, there's going to be things that come down the pike because of that. But I wouldn't get your panties in a bunch. I would just go with the flow and just try to try your hardest. And I know, and if you can see the look in my eyes, I know what it's like to have to deal with this. I do. It's sometimes just unbelievable, the things that you have to do, the hoops that you have to jump through, and the mazes that they make you crawl through just to be able to make a sale. I got people buying stuff that still haven't paid for it. I had an item just before I leave. I had an item right up on my list. I had a Nintendo DS charger up for $2 plus shipping, which would made it $5.50 total, which in my eyes, I'm the stupid one, but it was just laying around the house, and I figured, hey, an extra $2, why not? It just adds to what is coming in. It's just something that's laying around. I have no use for it anyhow. So if I can make $2 on it, why not? I take into account the 10% that eBay, and I take into account the percentage that PayPal's taken, and I put it up for a fair price, and this guy buys it. He commits to the buy, but I never get paid for it. 20 days went by, and then I get a cha-ching come through that this guy is now paying for this item. That item's been gone a long time ago, buddy. This is not a layaway. I don't put things on layaway for anybody. So the item's gone. So I told the guy, listen, you're either going to have to just suck up this little $5 and some change and get a positive feedback, or you're going to bitch and complain to eBay, and I'm going to give you a bad feedback because I'm not a layaway. I should have never had to wait 20 days. eBay should have never have kept my item held for, I can't cancel the order because it's being under, it's under investigation and all this other stuff. It's like, come on now. Like, I don't have time for this stuff. An item to me, this is a full-time business for me, unfortunately. So every little bit matters to me. Okay, so I got another item. It's an axe. And because I couldn't really get a good picture of the axe, I used a picture of the axe from a picture that I pulled up off of another site. And they took it down, and they told me to take my own pictures. Well, fine. I see a lot of things up on eBay that aren't legit pictures. You know what I mean? You give us unlegit pictures to put up there. So I don't understand it. So the item is now, we're probably like almost 2 weeks in, and the guy hasn't paid for the item yet. And, when the guy finally does pay for the item, they think that this thing is going to be just laying around on layaway for them. I'm sorry. Either, eBay is going to let me speak to this customer and say, now that it has been held on layaway, you have accumulated, layaway charges, or, just let me cancel the order completely, not have to deal with this customer, and I'll sell it to somebody else. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I can see where the frustration comes from, but it is really just a part of business. But I really think eBay could do a little bit of a better job of, how they set their standards, because from what I understand is when I put in a claim for a non-payment against somebody, it's only supposed to be 4 days. 4 days is what they told me. And I've waited a lot longer than 4 days to get paid for this axe that I sold 2 weeks ago. You know, I learned my lesson right after, the 72 hours. I put in a non-payment claim. I'm not waiting around, you know, and I still haven't been paid for the item. And they're going to think that, you know what, we're going to have this guy, wait. I'm not waiting. You know, you wouldn't want to wait to get paid, so I don't want to wait to get paid. You know, and I'm not bashing eBay because I love the eBay's forum. It's the only one that I recommend. I don't recommend other places, even though there are some forums that you have to put certain items up on because they're just too big and you can't ship them out. But eBay is my go-to, and I appreciate eBay for letting me become a reseller and become my own businessman and see what it's like to be a reseller. You know, I appreciate that. Trust me, I do. But, we have to be playing on a level field here, because if we're not playing on a level field, it's going to be a rough game. You know, that's all I'm saying. So, with that, I'm going to call. Just going to call it a day, and everybody have a good day and try to enjoy yourself.